Hey, I'm Michelle,
And I'm Ronald,
and this is Talking Squirrels.
our middle school ministry podcast. Michelle, I'm proud of us.
Ronald, I'm so proud of us.
We did 2 in a row, and there were no mess ups or like redos or anything.
I have been thinking so hard about how to do it.
Have you really?
Yes. Like so focused.
It's like,
And just don't screw up, don't screw up, don't screw up.
you know what, Michelle? Even if you do, I'm glad you're around.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, hey, no, did you see? So he ended the last episode talking about iTunes reviews. Did you see like one of our most recent iTunes reviews?
I don't think so.
So you can go onto iTunes and you can look at the reviews. And you know, if you listen to this someplace not iTunes, like Spotify or Google or Podbean, thank you for doing that. But
You guys are amazing.
go listen, go review it on iTunes. I don't know how you might go get around to doing that, but apparently iTunes reviews help and are nice.
Oh.
So we got, I don't, you know, there's a thing that you have to know or do. Let's see. I want to look up this in the store so that I can see. So we've got mostly positive reviews. Not gonna lie, we got some good positive reviews about what's going on here and what we're talking about with middle school ministry. It's really cool.
That's fun.
Yeah, but one of them recently was like, Michelle is the bomb.
Aw, I'm gonna
No.
cry.
Like, super on your team. And of course,
Aw.
why would they not be? Because Michelle, you're the bomb. You're really great.
Oh, I don't know who that is, but thank you.
It's
I
Pastor
think
Ricky.
you're the bomb.
Pastor Ricky Jr. And he said, love the addition. Pod, which I assume means podcast. Pod has been great from the start, but Michelle's voice and perspective adds a ton. Look at that.
Oh,
See?
That's awesome. I'm super grateful. Thank you.
Yeah. So Pastor Ricky Jr., thanks for loving on Michelle. She's fantastic.
You the bomb.
It's good stuff. Good stuff. So here's the deal. It's every week you're going to have a Sunday or a Wednesday program or whatever you do.
Sunday's coming.
That's what we say all the time. Like, that's our thing.
It is.
I have no idea what this is.
Is that you?
I'm in the middle school room right now.
Is there a fire?
There's a clock that's beeping. Hold on a second.
This is now my podcast. Welcome. This totally never happens in youth ministry.
So, like, I'm holding the clock that I just grabbed off the wall.
Amazing.
It's the one that I'm supposed to be able to see from the stage, but I never can.
Oh, to like watch your time?
Yeah. And it was going off as an alarm. I didn't even know this thing had an alarm. And apparently it goes off at 12 p.m. or 12:15 p.m. every day.
I was like, I wonder if that actually happens every day.
It might, but I'm not in here. It's 73 degrees in here right now.
Oh,
Michelle, just,
that's
is it hot?
73?
Inside the room right now.
Of where you're at? I don't know.
I'm saying, what do you keep your middle school room at?
Oh, it's probably at like a solid 69, 68.
Okay.
I feel great.
73 is a little warm. Not gonna lie.
It sounds like it.
Maybe.
But compared to outside where you're at anyways, it's probably cooler.
Yeah, that's why all the blinds are drawn and there's no outside light coming in right now.
Not one ray of light.
Hot. Oh my gosh. It would be so hot. No, I'm in the middle school room and I'm looking at our stage right now. And I've been thinking about something that we've been trying to do because we want middle school students up on stage.
100%.
What ways do you get your middle school students up on stage? What do you do for that?
Great question. This is something that I'm trying to do more of. But one of our biggest things is I love having students be the first person on stage. So they're the ones greeting, they're the ones kind of doing the hosting and doing announcements.
I love that. Yeah. So it's not like the Michelle show.
Right.
But it's like, look at these other students who are up there.
Yeah. And normally it'll be like an 8th grader because they're a little bit more confident. But every now and then, like we have a couple 7th graders who like just want some attention. And so I'm like, go on stage, go give the announcements, and they love it.
I love that you can do that. And that's a thing because putting middle school students up on the stage has been a big deal. here recently where we've been like putting them up on stage to do lots of stuff.
Ooh, tell me.
Well, so like you, we do announcements and we do welcome, which confidence is something we're working on because they are middle schoolers. And
Exactly.
so it's, hey, you should at least act happy when you
Why is
have
that
the
always
first
a
word.
thing too? Where I'm like, why are you not smiling?
Yeah. Maybe be happy when
You
you do
literally
this. And
asked to go on stage.
they'll get into it. And we've started with like, hey, welcome. We're so glad you're here. Watch this video. And I typically have like a funny video
Oh, that's
that
smart.
tries to loosen up the crowd.
I like it.
Uh, then they do the announcement, whatever that is, and then students lead the games.
Oh, cool.
So
Okay.
we play two games, and it's most of the time we have like a everybody play game, and an on stage game.
Nice.
And the same student or pair of students lead that game, and
Ooh,
I have a little bit, or maybe I'll be on stage, or I'll pass around the prizes, or
right.
pass around the
Do they pick out the games?
we're getting there.
Nice. Okay.
And they've asked, some of them have asked like, "Hey, can we start picking out the games?" Like, "Yes, tell me what game you want to play." I'm
Oh,
like,
cool.
"Oh." So I'm working on that with them, and I think we're gonna have like a training day where like, "Hey, this is how you be up on stage," to help them with that part.
Right.
That's down the line though.
Yeah.
And then we have our middle school band, which is really cool. It sounds like a middle school band, which is sometimes less
Don't they
cool.
all?
Yeah, but I mean, they get up there, they lead worship. It's fantastic.
That's rad.
Here's the new thing we're trying. And we had talked about this from like our debrief of like the whole ministry, and basically saying we wanted to get students to do more. And so even from like what I'm doing right now, like I want students up there even more than that. And
Right.
so we're trying to get students to come up and be engaged on the stage
Oh, cool.
during the teaching time. And so we did it last week, and it went really well. I had a girl say, "Hey, this was our passage from this last week. I want you to kind of look over this passage during the week, and I want you to ask these two questions of yourself. I'll bring you up on stage, and I'll ask you those two questions."
Oh, that's cool.
And she did a great job. It was really, really cool to like hear her, perspective and all this stuff. And so we're trying to think of different ways that we can do that,
That's
like
awesome.
what that would look like. So the list that we came up with is like, hey, right now we're working with, hey, from last week, what did you learn? And so we're saying, okay, here's the verse, here's the passage or the verses.
Mhm.
Uh, here are like 2 or 3 questions, and getting them up on stage and like kind of talking to them for maybe like 3 or 4 minutes, something like that.
Oh, cool.
I'd love to eventually get to a part where we can say, hey, this is what next week's lesson is going to be, and here's the application part. You think on it and give us one part of application of what you think you can do with this. So
Ooh.
that so it's not me telling students what they can do, but like a student coming up with what they could do.
Yeah. Putting the ball in their court.
Yeah, so trying to do that. Application is one thing. Trying to get like a devotional from a related verse. So
Mm.
like if you're talking about like don't worry next week, like from Matthew 6,
Yeah.
you get a student to look up another verse where it says that God is the good shepherd who takes care of us. And so you're saying, okay, think you might say a quick related thought on this,
That's cool. I like that.
and then maybe like a testimony or a story that has to do with what you're talking about, and then a I wrote down a challenge question with a follow up to the next talk. So like, hey, I just want to ask you this one question. How does it going to challenge you so that we can prepare for next week?
I like that.
Well, we're trying to get students up on stage during the most important part,
Hmm.
because we would say, okay, that's when you're teaching the Bible. Everything else is valid. Everything else is important. Making sure students feel welcome. Playing a game matters, even though it's silly and ridiculous sometimes. But
Yeah.
like, I want to give away even the most important part of the ministry, you know, teaching the Bible
Right.
and like applying the Bible. I want students to be like in for that.
Yeah. Yeah. We want them to
And-
own it. Right.
Yeah.
We want
And
them
so we're
to own the ministry. We want them to buy into it, like become actually a part of it, not just a watcher.
totally. And so we're trying to think about how we can do that. And that's what I've got. Like, that's from our notes so far and from week 1 of doing it. It's great. I hope we can continue to do it to where students can, do more and more and more, to where like eventually it could get like maybe 3 students to like teach the lesson.
That would be really cool.
Like, I would love that. Like, if one student told like the opening story, and then another student did like the Bible study portion, and then like another student did like the application. I think that would be really sweet. Like they each had like 5 minute blocks or whatever.
That would be
Like, I think
rad.
they could do a 15-minute lesson for sure.
Yeah. You have a pretty big group, right?
We do. Yeah, we have. This is the largest church I've ever been a part of. So
Gotcha.
like growing up, I was in. Uh, is the average church in America something like 150?
Something like that. Yeah, something pretty small.
Yeah. So like the churches I was involved in, I think I was involved in one church that was close to that. We had a youth group of about 15 or 20
Nice.
total, middle school and high school.
Right.
So total. And then my high school church, we had a youth group of about 30 or 40. It's a little bit bigger. This church is huge compared to that for me. And so like sometimes I feel overwhelmed.
Yeah.
But it is, so we have a lot of students to pull from. But I don't think just because there are a lot of students to pull from that like you wouldn't be able to put tons of kids up on stage. Because you could get the student who like maybe you don't feel like they can handle the Bible study portion of it,
Right.
but like they can tell a story.
Totally.
Or maybe the student who's like, I don't think you would be good if I just handed you the microphone, but if we did like interview style back and forth, like student could handle that, and that would be fun.
Oh, that would be really cool. Yeah.
So like interview application, hey, have you thought about this passage before? Like, what does that verse make you think of? All right. Do you think you could do something like this at school? I don't know. And, maybe ask them questions like that to draw out the application.
Right. Yeah, that's
So
really
I don't
good.
think you need a big group in order to make that happen. You just have to be willing for it to feel like a middle schooler is up on stage, right?
Totally. The way that we're set up right now is we average like 40 to 50 on a Sunday morning, but they all are like sitting on bean bags.
Yeah.
And so we're not in rows, we're not in chairs or anything like that. And I can
You're
see
right.
all of them.
Hold on. I said yes before I actually processed that information. You have 40 or 50 middle schoolers on beanbags?
Yes.
That's fantastic.
It's wonderful. It takes them a lot of room, but they love them.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And like we don't have like a big, like we have a 4-inch stage like block that's just like off the ground. So it's not really even like a stage or anything like that. But it's one of the things that we have been doing to get students like actually involved a little bit more is, so they're not coming up on stage necessarily, but they're just sitting on their beanbag and they're talking back to me. Which I think
okay, so like you're asking a question and you're actually getting real responses right then
and there, and so everyone can hear them. Like it's all bright, it's not dark or anything like that, so everyone sees everyone. So I think that's even been a huge thing. So that's during our Sunday morning teaching is I'm asking the entire group a question and getting responses, hopefully.
Well, do you ever do like hey, I'm going to put this question up on the screen and y'all talk about it for like a minute?
Totally. Yeah. I'll always go at least like one question, I think, during the time is like, hey, to the person to your left or the person to your right, ask them this.
Sure.
And then ask them, okay, like what were some of the answers? Yeah. It doesn't always work, but it's a start and it gets them kind of moving. So they're not just sitting the entire time either because they're middle schoolers and they, especially on beanbags, you just hear this like
the
constantly.
Whole time.
Positive
yeah, I can imagine. And I'm trying to imagine my group on beanbags, and it's both hilarious and terrifying.
Oh, I bet.
Oh man. The idea though of getting students engaged, I'm thinking like even if you wanted to change that, if you did like everybody ask the question, talk about it, and then you say, hey, I told these students beforehand I was going to call them up on stage. So now come on up on stage and let's talk about this question that we just asked everybody. That's a thing.
Oh, that'd be kind of fun.
Yeah. And I'm totally echoing what you said in that you don't want students to just kind of come in and sit,
Right.
right? You want them to be involved. And sometimes it means pushing them outside their comfort zone a little bit
Mhm.
and maybe get up on stage in front of people.
Yeah.
But I feel like that forces them to, kind of accept the challenge. Okay, I really have to think about this. I really have to do it.
Yeah. And it's definitely knowing
What
your
works
students too. Like there's some students who I'm like, I would never ask them to do that
because they do not want to come up here at
because
all.
they will not be okay with it.
Yeah,
And
100%.
there's other ones where I'm like, I'm not bringing you on stage because I don't know what you're going to say. So
Yeah.
like being able to like vet some of them or like, hey, let's talk about this before we go on stage.
Yeah. No, and I think, as you get to know your group, you get to kind of know these are my solid ones. I can rely on them.
Right.
But then even being able to say, I think this student would be willing if I like push them just a little
Yeah.
bit.
Or like keep asking them.
Yeah.
Like, hey, do you want to come on stage this week? And they're like, no. Like, okay, that's fine. Ask them next week.
Hey, I'm going to ask you again later, just so you know.
Yep.
No, I think getting students up on stage makes it feel like they're not in kids ministry anymore and they're just being talked at, but like they are a part of the ministry and what they have to say matters, and like they can learn from each other. I think those are all like huge valuable lessons
Oh,
that you can
totally.
do bringing kids up on being students up on stage. I think that's huge.
I think that it's developmentally like they want to obviously be heard, be seen, be known, as does every
Yeah.
person, right? And so, how cool would it be to be known that way in the church and within that
Yeah.
church community?
No, I'm in. I think this is I'm hoping that this is going to be something that's going to be huge. We actually have a scheduled down debrief of this at the end of the year, at the end of this semester, to be like, hey, because high school ministry is trying to do this as well.
Nice.
We're trying to say, hey, was this effective? Like, do we feel like this was something that was worthwhile and worth our time and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
So we're making progress in that.
That's great. And I think high school is super different too, because like they can handle so much more. They can kind of articulate a little bit better, like sentences, phrases. So I'm like, I'll even have high schoolers come in and teach sometimes if I think they're ready and like they're confident they can do that. And the middle schoolers love that because they're like, oh my gosh, it's a high schooler.
Yeah. Oh, man. No, this is going to be, I feel positive about this. I really, like, I'm really hoping it works well.
Yeah. And there's obviously going to be some fails in it, right?
I am anticipating some of these students bombing 100%.
And you have to, because they will.
Because I did. I have bombed talks, and this is my profession.
Exactly.
So, like, yeah.
And we have to be willing to walk through them, through those failings with them.
Yeah. And, hopefully they'll learn a lot through that as well.
Yeah.
Man. Hey, well, if you're listening to this, I hope you consider how you might put students up on stage, how you might get students more involved so that it's not just you up there, but it's students learning from their peers, hearing from their peers, and growing in their faith together. Hopefully this is a helpful thing to you. Go leave some more reviews on iTunes telling Michelle how awesome she is.
Go tell Ronald how amazing he is.
Well, you could leave that part out.
No,
but thanks so much for listening. Hey, share it with a friend, and we will talk to you guys next week.
Bye.